to Confab with Upcycleluxe, guys, where we talk to industry experts and founders of sustainable brands and those who are seeking sustainability at par. They are bringing a change into the entire ecosystem, and then to hear their stories is overwhelming and encouraging for not only for the industry and for the personal use as well. So we have a very special person today with us whose sustainability journey started with making small changes like moving away from single-use plastics. She uses drip irrigation in her personal uses and becoming conscious of her shopping habits. Miss Arundhati, she's the founder of Beej Studio. They have a very clear philosophy of ethics and aesthetics and believe that sustainability goes beyond being eco friendly. They are to create an ecosystem that supports, nurtures, and encourages making conscious decisions and choices. So let's bring Arundhati online and see what's there in her shell, and then she's gonna tell about her own story and entire journey about sustainability.
How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I wish you a very happy new year.
Same to you, same to you. Wish you a very happy new year. What a exciting year for you.
Yeah. We are sure, I'm sure the next few months are going to be really great for all of us, and the entire year is going to get overwhelmed because we have seen the pandemic already happening with us and how it has been treated around. So we are hopeful that 2021 is going to get really, really better.
I would like to say it cannot get worse than 2020, but then I think all of us,
Yeah.
I'm very, I would say it with a lot of careful optimism.
Yeah, but then we are hopeful, definitely. I mean, everything is coming back, and we are hopeful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I really wanted to listen to your entire story because the kind of work we just been doing, it is phenomenal. I love the product, the kind of range you have been creating around your ideology, ethos, and everything. So tell us about yourself and about the entire journey, how it started, and what led you start Beej Studio.
Okay, so I am a HR professional, both by education as well as the last 17 years of my career has been an HR professional, and then worked across industries. Straight after B school, I started working. My first job was with hotels, and then insurance, banking, consulting, media, multiple industries. And then sometime last year, I started thinking that I want to do something more. I just got bored of doing what I was doing actually. And I come from a business of, my dad's business has been leather exports, and he has one of the oldest leather export houses in Calcutta. So he was like, how businessmen, parents are, they're very excited when the child says, ki naukri nahi karni. So his first thing was, what took you so long to realize that you shouldn't be doing a job and come and start working with me. So I said, hang on. And I live in Mumbai. He stays in Calcutta. So I said, wait, let me figure this out. So I just decided to take a pause for a couple of months to kind of reassess what I want to do. And around the same time, I was turning 40. So I was taking a Europe vacation with a couple of friends who were also turning 40. And we'd gone for a holiday to Austria and Prague. And while we were there, Harshita, we were caught in the middle of a heat wave. So, it was so hot. And I remember having this conversation with my friends there that, we keep talking about climate warming and global warming. And we still think, a lot of us still think it's a thing in the future and it's going to happen, or it's happening, but it's not affecting us. But it was almost like, what? Hey, it's already here. It's now. It's happening as we speak. So when I came back from, and it was a regular conversation. And when we came back, I kind of was telling my dad that, making a life shift is going to become very important for all of us. So why don't we find some other ways or other materials that work better than leather? And that's really how it started. So I started researching and looking up, and and just reading, and I found that there was so much that's A, available, B, there is so much of research in the whole material innovation space that has happened in the last few years.
Yeah.
And none of it was really available in India. I mean, in India, if you don't want to buy a leather bag, what's your next best alternative?
Yeah.
You go and buy a bag which is made out of so-called vegan leather or cruelty-free leather, which is not sustainable, mind you. It's cruelty-free, all right? So there was also this huge opportunity or this gap which I saw. So I think all of that kind of came together, and then I told him, let's make a switch, and he was like, "Are you mad? Like, I have a very successful 45-year-old business." So I said, "Fair enough." So then I just said, I wanted to get into that space, and that's really how Beej started last year. So we are turning one in another few days. So January is a very special
Congratulations
for us.
for that. I mean, I'm sure like it must be like a thrilled experience for you, and a lot of learning as well in these past 1 year, because I mean the pandemic has also hit us like really bad. That was
Starting
there.
a business is like a crash course in it's like an MBA crash course.
Yes, definitely. So, since because your father was having an export business already in leather, so you must have faced a lot of difficulties in creating a sustainable brand, because leather was something which is very different from what you are creating now. So, what difficulties you have faced in creating a
Uh,
sustainable?
I think obviously one of the things is that, let me start with the people who work with our materials, right? The karigars and the artisans. Most of the people, or rather all the people, they all come from the leather trade because,
Yeah.
right? So I think one challenge was in just reorienting them, because they're very used to working with the material. Simple things like, and sustainability is not just about the materials you use,
Of
right?
course.
I mean, it's also about conversations like, designs aisa karna hai ki we should minimize waste, don't
Correct.
throw scrap. I'm very, very particular about no plastic. So, when we talk, I'll speak about it. Our zippers are all recycled PET. We use the recycled PET zippers, and they cost 5x the amount that a regular zipper costs, actually. So, they would keep telling me, ki, aapne abhi business shuru kiya hai, why are we doing this? Why can't we go and buy it from the local shop? And then I would have to keep explaining to them, no, we can't do it. I'm sure they roll their eyes at me and they think, stupid woman doesn't know how to do her business. But it takes, so I mean, those are some of the challenges you have to, I think, just educating them,
That's more
educating
important.
myself. Yeah. Although I must say that once we decided to do this, my father has honestly been more than encouraging, and he's learned so much in the process,
I'm sure.
because everything we do and learn here is something I keep sharing with him.
Yeah. And also, since because you have mentioned about the designing part of it, I was having a conversation from one of the faculty from NIFT a few days back. So what they are teaching to the student these days is how you are designing a product. It's okay, but then you have to know the end use, and then how you'll be able to do a circular fashion.
Correct.
So, just not eliminating the scraps or recycling or upcycling it, but then what will happen after 5 years to that product, and
Correct.
how can you recycle it, or maybe like, circular it. So
Correct.
I think that's more important. And the kind of products which you are creating defines in itself that after 5 years also, and if you want to dispose it to the nature, it's going to take it in that formation. If they're not going to harm the nature at all.
Correct.
Because they're natural.
So, well, let me say this, it's also somewhat the responsibility of the consumer, because, and I think it's completely on my list of things to do, that we have a policy or a process in place where after a few years of use, if someone wants to send it back to us, and so that we can responsibly either recycle it or just biodegrade it or do something to it, right? We should be able to do it. Well, we're too young for someone to want to return. One of the things about sustainability also is that you buy less and you buy
Yes.
better and you use it for much longer. So,
Yeah.
anybody who buys a beach product, I'm hoping that at least for 5 years they'll use it before they decide to throw it away
Yeah.
and say, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, the product is such that there is the longevity of at least 4 to 5 years. You keep it
Absolutely.
with you.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So how do you like balance the purpose and the profit together here?
I think for us, purpose comes first.
Yeah.
I think I'd say that. And honestly, I think last year was, um, it's very good to say a few things in theory, but when it's really happening and when the rubber hits the road, it comes down to. And I can give very very small examples of we use recycled yarn and fabrics for all our bag linings, and they're expensive materials. So very often it was discussed ki, the suggestion would come from someone in the team to say that why don't we just replace it with regular cotton, and how would someone know, and things like that. And I think the answer always is that nobody might find out, but we've got to do what is right and what is core to the brand. So that's something we really maintain. The other thing that I want to talk about profits and purpose is that the mission for our brand is to make sustainability a mainstream choice. And if you
Yeah.
have to make it mainstream, you cannot be costing the moon, because somewhere that's also a very very common view that anything sustainable has to be incredibly expensive. So we are priced very competitively. We are priced at par with maybe a good quality leather equivalent product or slightly higher. But so we may be keeping slightly lower margins, but I want more adoption of these materials. I want to encourage more people to want to make that switch, or at least try to make that switch. Um, so right now, definitely profits, because otherwise you cannot be a company. But we put
Yes.
purpose slightly over profits.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, we've been thinking about sustainability so much now, and we are just because we have dived into the sustainability chapter and searching about it all over the internet. How do you distinguish yourself in becoming preachy about sustainability and just talking about your product? I mean, there is a very slight distinction between these two.
Oh, so I don't want to be preachy. Let me say that. I think, Harsh, to be very honest, everything that I've learned about sustainability, I've learned in the last 15, 16 months.
Yeah.
Because as an HR professional, it wasn't in my periphery or scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
Apart from basic things like not using plastic or things like that. But what I want to do through Beej, and if you see our Instagram or our platform or our website, I don't want to tell you that this is wrong and that is right, or sustainability
Correct.
is good. I think it's all about sharing what we learn.
Yeah.
And because I'm a part of the community today, I learn so much from other brands and what they do and what they put up there, and what they see. So I think there are a lot of people who are willing to make that shift. Now, how much of a shift, you and I are not here to judge or say, you're only doing this much, you're not doing enough. I think everybody has to do it at their own comfort level. I think as brands, it's important forget brands, as people who are in the space and who understand the space, it's our job to just share that, what, hey, you can do this, or there is this other option, or, I have learned this, would you like to hear about it and know about it? And people take on whatever works for them, and they experiment with that shit. Because one of the things I've realized is, if you make sustainability too overwhelming for people and they feel like they have to change their whole life, they don't
Yes.
want to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, we were also thinking of how to plan the entire sustainability model in such a way that you are not forcing the customer to become sustainable in one day. This is something which is a
Correct.
process or a lifestyle which you're going to attain steadily. It's going to come. People has to understand in their daily lives before getting involved into the shopping experiences. So you have to indulge yourself into those small bits, maybe like reducing on the plastic consumption by maybe a toothbrush. You're eliminating that with a bamboo toothbrush. Those kind of change in your mundanes helps a consumer to understand the aspects of the sustainability from the
Correct.
regular.
Correct.
So, there are already a lot of vegan and cruelty-free products out there in the market. How is Beej different from those products?
Oh, again, I think two things. Um, you're right. There's a lot of vegan and cruelty-free products out there, but at Beej we don't call ourselves a vegan brand. We do not. While a lot of the materials we work with are vegan, we do work with materials like leather, upcycled leather scraps, etc., which would otherwise
Yeah.
again get discarded. So we are technically not a pure vegan brand. But we are a sustainable brand, yes. We are very mindful of what materials we work with. So, so let me take an example of what are the most common vegan materials out there, right?
Yeah.
Most of it is what you call as faux leather, which are all plastic based. Now, whether it is PVC based or PU based or whatever based, and essentially they are chemical and plastic based products. They
Yeah.
are great vegan alternatives, but are they sustainable alternatives? I am not very sure. There is a
Yeah.
question mark there, right?
Yeah.
So we actively choose to work with plant-based materials. So we work with materials like cork. We work with a Piñatex. We've done some work with cactus leather. And increasingly, I am going to explore more and more plant-based materials, which uh, and I want to say it right here. Honestly, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything out there that's 100% sustainable.
Yeah,
Uh,
of
the,
course.
yeah, the endeavor for brands like us is to reduce the impact or minimize the impact as much as is possible. So I don't like making claims like we are 100% biodegradable and 100%. I
Yeah.
find it so fake.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know.
so it's a big red flag for me if someone was to say that.
Yeah,
So
it is very difficult to achieve 100% sustainability. Even in the processes, the entire supply chain, if at all you see, it is too difficult to get. And then steadily, I'm sure we're gonna like when the technology develops in a certain way, especially in the fashion industry or maybe the industry, other industry as well. Then steadily, it's gonna take almost a decade to bring
yeah.
that kind of a change. But then still, we are not there. No brand is 100% sustainable, even if it all they are claiming themselves to be one.
And the moment you create something new, there is an impact, right?
Yeah,
How can you
of
say
course.
that there is no impact? There
Yeah,
is some impact. So we,
yeah,
we are very careful to choose materials that minimize impact.
yeah,
Uh, yeah. So those are the kind of materials we work with. Like honestly, my favorite material is this material that comes from Bengal. Because to my mind, that's the most sustainable material, which is Khesh. Because
Khesh.
you take this old sarees, you tear them into
Yeah,
strips, and you weave it on a handloom. So there is no electricity. You are upcycling a new material. It
yeah,
is carbon negative actually. So
yeah,
if you want to say yes, that is perhaps as sustainable as it gets.
yeah. So, since because you have been working with so many technical fabrics now, so what kind of difficulties have you faced sourcing in them in India?
So we don't source our materials from India. So
Hmm.
when we work with Cork, we get all our Cork from Portugal.
Hmm.
We get Piñatex comes from Spain,
Hmm.
and the cactus leather comes from Mexico. The only Indian material that I work with is Khesh, which comes from Bengal. Um, yeah, it's GI tagged to a small village near Shantiniketan. So we get it from there. So yes.
So, I mean, take us through the entire range as well, which you are creating, those beautiful ones.
I wish I could show you all actually, but it's in the other office. But right now our range has been mostly women centric. So a lot of, women bags, wallets, clutches, etc. We do a lot of laptop bags. We're now moving into work essentials. So unisex laptop bags. We are doing desk pads. So, when you're going to work and you don't want to actually touch the surface, you can just open out the pad and work on it, and, very easy to
Yeah, I've also seen those wine bags as well.
Wine bags, yes.
Wine covers, yeah.
We're all
I
big
love
wine
those.
drinkers, so we do some wine bags, and but now we're moving into we're going to be very soon doing a men's collection. We're designing a kids collection, but that's for a brand based out of Dubai. So lots of exciting stuff.
So, what kind of a change have you seen in the customers accepting these products in India as well as international?
So internationally, especially in Europe, I think this has been a conversation for some time now. They understand and they appreciate. Countries like Germany or Britain or even up north, sustainability is a conversation, and they they're really trying to make lifestyle shifts. They're not just shopping shifts. In the US, not so much. I mean, they like the whole vegan movement, but I don't think they care much about sustainability just yet. Yeah. In India, I think it's happening, honestly. But for it to become a mainstream conversation, it's still a few years away, is what I think. Apparel's had a bit of a head start. So people have been talking about linen and organic cotton and all of that for some time now in the apparel space.
Bananas and apple fibers,
But in accessories, it is a very, very new space right now. So it'll take some time, but everybody who buys us is very excited. So I get a lot of, oh, I never knew that this existed. We get a lot of those reactions.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, whenever people heard about these kind of fabrics, they're like, okay, such kind of a fabric has also been made.
Yeah.
When I told my father that there is a fabric called cactus, it has been made out of cactus, and then he was like, how are cactus being made as fabric? And then I showed him the entire video of the procedures, and he was like amazed and so happy to see the entire technology coming up through. And then so I mean, the entire ideologies which you have taken to place, we wanted to get give us or share some views and your ideologies as to how was Beej born, and then what exactly is your focus, the clienteles, and everything around.
Sure. So I think Beej is born out of a very, very simple idea. And the core idea to Beej is that style and sustainability can and must coexist. So that's a very simple sentence that kind of defines the core of Beej. And I think what our core ideology is to be mindful and conscious and do what's right even when no one is watching. So that's that's the line that even comes on our boxes and our packaging. So I think very simple and for us, and that's what I tell everybody in the team, and I try, and it applies to me as well, and I keep telling people that sustainability is not an action. It's not a single action that you take. It's not like theek hai chalo Cork use kar rahe hain, so we are very sustainable. And it's almost like a filter that you apply to every action you take, every business decision you make. So, simple things like, I wish I could show you, we don't waste anything at the studio. So all the scraps have been stitched together and they have been made into our table covers. Let me show you.
Can you like step data down for us, like break it down for us as to what first thing do you do after the designing part of it, the entire supply chain, how it goes around, and then how you recycle the entire scrapping? So that'd be really interesting to know.
So we don't. So our materials come from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, actually, and when we design, our designs are in a way that waste is very minimal. We try and ensure that we don't, our silhouettes are drawn up in a way that the waste is very minimized. But again, I think it'll again be a lie to say there's zero waste. But we take the waste and we keep doing little stuff out of it. So I can show you, this was lying on my table. We had made it for Christmas, and it's just a scrap leather thing. So we keep doing a lot of stuff like that. We don't throw anything at the studio. So it finds some utility somewhere over here.
Okay, so there is a lot of recycling happening.
There's a lot of recycling. There's a lot of recycling. It finds its way to our packaging. It finds its way to, curtains or coasters or something else at the studio will kind of see it getting used. So yeah, and our packaging is completely zero plastic, zero waste. So we've designed our packaging in a way that it's completely repurposable. We don't want you to throw anything away and use all of it.
So, I understand like reducing plastic is necessary. But then there are compostable plastics also coming into the market these days. What are your thoughts on compostable plastics? I mean, are they actually biodegradable or are they sustainable?
I'm so glad you brought this up. Just yesterday or today morning, I was reading an article on Facebook that scientists have come up with some kind of enzymes that melt plastic, and plastic that would take 200 years to biodegrade will just melt away in a matter of weeks. And there was this whole debate about, is that a great thing or a bad thing or a good thing? And while a lot of people are applauding it, it kind of makes me think, number one, it can't vanish into thin air, right? It's a solid particle. Where does it go? It will find its way into our seas. It will find its way into our oceans. It will find its way. It will perhaps not be visible to us as mounds of plastic, but it will still find its way somewhere and cause harm, I believe. And I somewhere also believe that when we come up with things like this, now we're just giving people the license to therefore continue to use more and more, to say, "ठीक है, वो तो biodegrade हो जाएगा," So my view on plastic is, if we all do our bits to replace it with something else in our lives, I think there's something very meaningful to be achieved there, and it doesn't take much.
Yeah, it doesn't, of course. So the alternatives, the alternative which we seek is corrugated boxes. I mean, those of craft boxes as well. But then one thing I always think whenever I ask for a corrugated box, or maybe it comes around to me if I order something, is how to recycle that box. You can't make each box as a jewelry box. How to decompose that box. You have to cut it through. Now, I think the brand should think in a certain way that they should tell the consumers how to recycle their packaging as well. Or how there are ways, multiple ways that the customer can actually reuse that container in a certain way. So they can just suggest few of the ideas, which we have also done in our packaging. We have made packaging for all the brands, and then we have showcased that how they can use, the customer especially can reuse that product, or maybe how can they decompose the entire packaging if at all they are not using at a jewelry box or maybe other crafts purposes. So, I mean, can you also like share about your business model as to you are only focusing yourself on to B2C or maybe B2B? What's the entire future plan of yours?
Sure. So internationally, we do our focus is both B2C and B2B. So while we are, we are going to expand into retail internationally as a brand, we are also working with a couple of clients to private label for them. There are brands and there who are looking to, launch a sustainable collection, and are seeking out companies who A, understand that space, B, who are willing to work with smaller batches, smaller numbers, because in international exports, actually MOQ becomes a huge issue. Because most people are not willing to work with you in numbers below 500 and 1,000, and when people talk to me and they say, hey, we are wanting to start, what is your MOQ? And I say, okay, 50. They're very amazed. Like, seriously? And we are a company that's wanting to minimize waste. Why would I want to dump something on you? And I'm happy to work with 50. We are a small studio. We are starting out. I'm comfortable. So that internationally, that's our focus. And within India, largely B2C. Although, we are in conversation with a couple of designers, etc., to kind of collaborate with them. So, if they have a sustainable apparels brand and they want accessories, those are also a few conversations, but in India, largely B2C.
All right, okay. So you have spent almost 1 year in the process of building a brand. So what was your best practices and best learning which you have come out as in terms of the brand as well as in the supply chain, or maybe your personal learnings as an ecosystem?
I think
I'm sure a lot of things.
The problem is that when you ask questions like this, somehow suddenly my HR hat comes on and I start thinking like an HR person. I'm so trained to think like that. I can share some learnings from you, with you as a business. I think the first thing I've learned, and if there are any business people or young entrepreneurs out there who are looking to start, I had one thing on my which was different about me. I started my business at 40. I had already had 18 years of working behind me, and which helped you. There's a certain amount of wisdom that comes with working for so long. And one thing I really learned is that in business, there are no no's. Every time you hear a no, it's a delayed yes. And I think that's been a huge lesson for me. Harshita, you are starting out. I think it's a huge lesson for anyone. When we started out and we reached out to a few people and we said, hey, we're doing this, can we collaborate with you, or can we list with you, can we do something with you? We often heard no's. And cut to 1 year later, many of those people have come back to us saying, hey, we want to do this with you. So I think that's a massive lesson. I think the other thing is, all of us, thanks to our business, spend too much time on social media. Right. So all of us are tracking other brands. All of us are tracking whose followers have grown, whose likes have grown, whose engagement has happened. It's a very slippery slope. Try and control doing that, and so that's the other thing. And I think the third thing is you've got to celebrate small wins along the way.
Definitely.
While you have your eyes on the big goal, while there is a number you want to achieve, a growth target, a customer base, all of that is good. But you have to, because as leaders, as owners, as people, it's very important for us to keep our morale going. because our
Yeah.
team draws their energy from us. And
Yes.
you have to stop to, say, hey, good job done. Now what's next?
Yeah.
So see, I gave you lots of HR answers.
Definitely. I mean, I mean, we should have like a constant, like regular conversation so that just to make myself and you a little bit motivated. There are times, so, entrepreneurship it's tedious. Every day is a challenging day
Yes.
for you. Every morning when you wake up, you have to do the entire to-dos as well as how you have to proceed further. There are days, we've been, it's a small journey till now. We have just there, it's been few months only we've been there into the industry. But then there were days when I was totally demotivated. And then I really don't want to like open my laptop and do the work. And there was such kind of but then you have to challenge yourself and come up to know this. You have to cut it short and put yourself and challenge it. So, okay, you have to move forward. So these kind of a motivation when you see around, and especially in women, I am so overwhelmed and I feel so energetic that these kind of powers are actually resonating things and giving yourself so much strength that you have to move forward every other day.
And you can't beat yourself over a bad day. All of us do.
Yeah.
The bad days you signed up for it when you decided to become an entrepreneur.
Yes,
So
definitely.
they are going to happen. You don't want to go to work one day. You just want to do nothing. You just feel you can't face office. I think it's okay. Don't come to work. But then the next day you got to get up and show up.
Yes, definitely. So on that note, thank you so much, Arundhati. It was such a nice conversation. I think we should do this conversation quite often now. And I'm sure, we're gonna do it more often and then come through a lot of exciting learnings of sustainability from the brands as well as personal perspective as well. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
and
being
all
our
the best. All the best.
Thank you so
You and the entire team at Upcycleluxe. We are very excited to see what's happening and going to happen in the
We
weeks
too
and
are
months.
excited for the entire collaboration, and then we are looking forward to the launch. And it's soon gonna happen, and we're gonna see the entire response from the consumers as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, Arundhati.
Bye bye.